I'm glad y'all don't have very much on the agenda. That could make me a little more freedom to speak a little bit. Huh?
You think so?
Think so. If she doesn't cut me off the whole hand. First thing I want to do is, I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for being a responsible government. This sure is very opposite of what our federal government's doing. First of all, you got to realize that 30% of our counties is under the minimum wage, not on the minimum wage, but on the poverty line. I'll just like to remind you that our country is under gigantic depression, but it's simply as possible. It's costing the farmers, you, fortune by doing away with this gas line. It's just unbelievable. The gas went up 30%. So every time I fill up that old gas guzzling pickup, it's cost me $30. Multiply that for the whole year. Also, if you just listen to the news last month, the inflation was almost 7%, 6.6%. What is that going to do to, especially the elderly? Our income from retirement is less than 3%, and then they take half of that for insurance. All this money has got to come out of savings that you worked hard with all these years. They can't continue this decline in the economic conditions of this country. It's no way possible. It's one thing about getting old, and that is you live through these tough times in the past. All you got to do, all the younger people in here, look back in the 80s when the inflation and the interest rate was close to 20%. I had to work 3 different jobs to make ends meet, to pay my family's bills. So what I'm saying is stay on and keep an eye on what it's doing. Anytime you raise money on taxes on the public, especially the elderly and less privileged people. And so, and the third thing I want to mention, and I know the answer, but I think we can work around it, and that is, some of you already have heard it before, I want to get out of the transportation district. The federal government is going to spend millions of dollars on roads. And here we are, not only paying the state taxes, we are adding money for the Hampton Roads District. It was passed, if I remember right, with the state in it bill that this money would be spent in the localities. But again, last June, the Department of Transportation took these funds and put it into the pipeline, not the pipeline, the tunnels. I don't believe anybody sitting here in this building would agree with any state legislators or other people in the government. Tells you one thing, then take your money and spend it somewhere else. And that's exactly what they did. I want this board to have a nerve enough to write your state people, try to get them to exemption and get us out of this Hampton Roads district. That's a tax, excess tax on every citizen in the county. So that's one big, to me, it's an awful big deal in trying to make things equal. I don't know why we gotta subsidize Hampton Roads when we get absolutely nothing. First came out, they made plans for surveying the roads. How are we gonna spend the money? You didn't spend the money already. You didn't see a penny. And like I say, VDOT took all the money and put it on the tunnels. That's not right. And I hope, we'll pray that we'll have a new legislator to push this through the Senate, not House and the Senate in the state. They have made exemption of 2 or 3 other county and localities throughout the area to get out. And I hope y'all consider requesting exemption and get out. It's not fair for the citizens, and especially the elderly people in this community. And like I mentioned, our retirement system pays you about, oh, well, if you get 3%, and then they take a half of it, and then we got inflation at 7%, and then on top of that, over 35% increase in gas prices. You can call it what you want to, or say what you want to. That is a huge, gigantic taxes. And spend it whatever way you want to. That is hurting everybody in the country.
Thank you. Anybody else? Plenty of time if anybody else wants to speak. Okay, if not,
May I ask one question?
sure.
I noticed on the agenda, y'all gonna meet with the planning commission. Is the citizens gonna be able to say anything at that meeting? If you haven't,
Yeah, it's gonna be a public meeting. We can't,
It'll be
the
a
two of us get together at a time, so it
public
has to be a public meeting.
public hearing,
No, the answer to that would be probably yes.
well, good.
Okay, if there's nobody else, we'll move on to the number 2, the approval of the minutes. And the first one's the budget public hearing of May 17th, 2021. Anybody have any corrections, alterations, or problems with that? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. And second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, and our regular session, the minutes of that on May 25, 2021. Anybody spot anything there?
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, approve and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Both of those sets of minutes are approved. All right, we'll move on to 3, highway matters. Does anybody have any concerns for VDOT in their district or anywhere else they see it?
I have a compliment. They've been cleaning up the ditches in my area.
All right, Anybody else? I got all the potholes in mine, patched, so. Anybody have any concerns on safe roads anywhere? Yeah, I think they've done real well concerning the rain and the weather we have and their budget problems. Okay, if not, then we'll go to the monthly reports. Financial report. Jump in if you have something. Animal control.
Well, I would just like to comment. For the benefit of those that are here, I'll read this since, Cindy's not here, she's at a conference. But she did send us a printout of the financial report. And the, real estate taxes in May were 99.7%. In June, they were 99.71%. Personal property was 97.47%. And in June, it was 97.58%. Solid waste in May was 82.04%, and in June, it was 82.82%. All of them were increased slightly, and that was the report that the treasurer submitted.
All right, anybody have any comments on that? Community development. Blackwater Regional Library. Solid waste quantities. Personnel.
Just a couple items to report, Mr. Chairman. We had 2 employees hired during the month, Tyler Ezel from the Sheriff's Office effective May the 10th. Annual salary $36,982. And Tiffany Kindred in the Accounting Department effective today, June the 22nd. Annual salary $36,269. There's 1 retirement coming up effective June the 30th in the Treasurer's Office. That's Rosemary Horn. And then we had 3 employees to separate during the month. Tiffany Kindred, of course, I just mentioned, took the job in the Accounting Department, so she left her position in the Treasurer's Office. Edgar Wright III separated from our Department of Utilities on June the 21st. And Christopher Bill will be leaving the Commonwealth Attorney's Office effective June the 30th. There were a couple of comp board adjustments. Brad Mutter in the Sheriff's Office effective June the 1st. Annual salary $36,751. And Timothy Sherman, same date, June 1st, same salary, $36,751.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions about that? All right, we'll move on to the financial matters. Number 5. The first one is semi-annual appropriation resolution for the year 2022, which your green sheets in your agenda there. That is to provide a total of $34,623,518, which is approximately 53% of the funds budget for 2022. And the balance of that will come due in this. We'll handle that in December. Motion to adopt that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay. The second one, appropriation resolution of general fund was in the pink sheets. A total of $956,1958. Part of it goes for the general fund, and around $7,000 goes to the enterprise fund. The appropriation consists of a combination of grants, expenditure refunds, reimbursements, and carryover funds. The resolution also included $396,250.75 in new money, most of which associated with a refund of excess water and sewer fees.
I'll make a motion, we approve the attached appropriation resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. That's unanimous also. And C is the school fund, yellow sheets. That appropriates $121,805.88 in revenue from various sources to the Southampton County Public Schools. This revenue was derived from expenditure refunds, reimbursements, and tuition payments. It does not include any new money. Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
I second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We'll approve that. D, appropriate resolution to school fund. That's the CARES Act, which is blue sheet in your agenda. That appropriates $97.66 in revenue from through the CARES Act for the elementary and secondary school emergency relief, Southampton County Public Schools, to address the impact of the COVID-19 and to continue to have on any impact on the students and teachers. Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed likewise. All right, the last one on that's a bill list. Everything's itemized and accounted for, and appropriate funds and paperwork. So a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right. All those in favor say aye. Opposed likewise, so we pay the bills. All right, move on to number 6. 2 appointments coming up in August. So we got a little while to think about that. We have a seat open on the Board of Zoning Appeals, BZA. That's from the Capron District. And we have a seat opening up on the Board of Building Code Appeals from the Boykins Bransfield District. I don't know, I guess those both eligible to come back on.
Yes, sir.
I would say that maybe the best thing is to call them, whoever, and see if they want to come back on. That'll be in August, in the August meeting. When's the last time the BCA has met?
A year ago, January, a year and a half ago.
Okay,
Excuse me.
yes, sir.
Mike, would you send me information on that, Board of Zoning Codes? I want to share it with someone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Capron District, I guess you can find out if they want to come back on it, and the Boykins Bransfield District do the same. If not, then come up with a new name for us for August. All right, to the meat of the program, public hearings. We have 3 of them tonight. The first public hearing is the conditional use permit, Mrs. Mary Taylor Watson. And I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Lewis to lead us through that.
Good evening. This is a conditional use permit for a commercial kennel located at tax parcel 44-16. The address is 19219 River Road, Portland. The applicant seeks a conditional use permit to establish a commercial kennel for breeding Great Danes. The request was to house up to 18 adult dogs. The county's ordinance says every dog over 4 months old is an adult dog. The planning commission was kind of concerned thinking about 18 adult breeding Great Danes. But Ms. Watson explained that there are the puppies that are under 4 months old. There are the breeding dogs that are 2 to 4 years old. And then there's the adolescents between 4 months old and 2 years old that she is raising so they can become breeding dogs. So she says that she'll have approximately 6 to 9 breeding females at a time. They will be housed in runs. She was using carports that were already on the property, and she has agreed to move the new runs to the far side of the property away from her abutting neighbors. She says there will be 4 to 8 litters of puppies a year. Customers typically don't visit the site. If they do, it's just one family at a time. The runs are illuminated and include cameras for security reasons. They'll have a small storage shed for a puppy whelping and raising area, but no office. The office business all takes place in the home. The only people that work there are the people that live in the home. And the runs and pens use shavings like a horse stall for waste, and they will clean the runs and dispose of the waste at a far corner of the property. She offered the following conditions: that the business will be limited to 18 adult Great Dane dogs. The kennels and waste disposal area will be relocated to the northeastern portion of the property, which is east of the emergent wetland area. So when it rains, any runoff from the dogs or the dog waste will not impact the wetland area. And there is some other livestock on the property. Right now, there are 6 horses. She will rehome 2 of the horses. There's a small cow and a donkey. So she will retain 4 horses, a cow, and a donkey. Any other livestock she won't have because her business is raising dogs. So there won't be goats and pigs and chickens and all. There may be pets, cats or something, but there won't be any other livestock. There was a call to me before the planning commission meeting from the abutting neighbor concerned about the location of the runs near their property. So she moved them to the other side of the property. And there was a speaker at the planning commission meeting concerned that there was just too much other livestock on the property. So Ms. Watson has agreed to rehome 2 of the horses. If you recall, several years ago, the county adopted an ordinance that says to have a horse, you have to have 1 horse, you have to have 2 acres, 1 acre for the house and 1 fenced acre for the horse, and 1 fenced acre for each additional horse. Her property is 7.5 acres, and she has sketched out where the pasture areas are, so she has enough space for 4 horses. The planning commission had met the first time. They had concerns about the location of the runs. And Ms. Watson agreed to come back to another planning commission meeting with the runs relocated and a little stronger business plan put together. She came back the next month and she presented everything, and the planning commission, there was 1 member absent that night, maybe 2 members. I believe the vote was 6 to 1 in favor of the conditional use permit with the conditions that Ms. Watson offered. And I don't see her here this evening, but I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, any questions for Ms. Lewis? If not, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing.
I'm Glenn Updike. I was sure recommended approval. It was the finest lady during these public hearings that I've ever seen over 20 years. She did everything humanly possible to meet every request, every desire of the planning commission. So I recommend it wholeheartedly to approve it.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, if not, then we'll close the public hearing. Any discussion among the board?
Well, the only thing I could add, it seems to have strong support from the Planning Commission.
There was. The first meeting, there were a lot of questions, and I'm very satisfied that she answered all these questions for the second meeting and met all the requirements that we had put on her, and some of them were fairly strenuous, but she complied 100%. I'm in favor of us granting the conditional use permit.
And there are no complaints from neighbors.
Excuse me?
There are no complaints from neighbors.
I'm concerned that small cows gonna stay small.
Well, I was impressed with her integrity, and she, I felt, answered all the questions that we had for the first meeting.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the
Second.
conditional use permit.
Second.
All right, second by Mr. Jason. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will go ahead and grant that conditional use permit. All right, the second one on there is an ordinance amendment for changing the rates for the emergency ambulance transports. I think everybody had this. We had this on our packets before. It looks like one from 380 stayed the same. $450 went up to $630. Emergency went from 650 to 800. Advanced life support 900 to 974. Mileage rate to the hospital went from $13 a mile to $14.30. All right, we'll open the public hearing on that.
Comment.
Considering the walk around 3334 Sandwich Road, Franklin, Virginia, considering the havoc that's been caused by COVID-19, people can't even pay their rent to their landlords. I just saw on the world news today that California has approved either 5.8 billion or either 5.8 million to pay the back rent to the landlords for those individuals that can't pay it. I just think these fees are a little steep considering what people have gone through. The job market has not come back yet as it should be. We had some issues with the hospital in Franklin not accepting certain insurance, as you're all aware. So I think this needs to be seriously looked at before these rates are increased. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else concerning this matter? I think the way the financial situation is going, all of those seem to be justified. That's a very expensive business to be in. Anybody else? And we'll close the public hearing on that. What do you think, board?
You were speaking to the transport fees, Mr. Bryant. If I understood you right, you were speaking to the transport fees.
Yes.
The recommendation came from the rescue.
Yes.
To bring that in line with, most of those would be, am I correct in my memory, Mr. Johnson? Most of those would be in line with the supplemental money that they would ordinarily get anyway.
Yeah, these are the fees these are the maximum rates reimbursed by Medicare.
Right.
So the majority of these fees are paid either by private insurance or Medicare. If a person does not have insurance and is not covered by Medicare or Medicaid, we will be glad to set up payment plans for them, spread it out over a period of time, those kinds of things. And eventually, quite frankly, we write them off. It's a very soft collection policy.
Right. It did come as a recommendation, though, of the rescue precincts in the county from their full board that these fees be accepted. That was their recommendation. I just so you.
I believe that's correct. I might say that, there are many times that they don't collect anything. Doesn't matter if you have insurance, Medicare, or private insurance, you get treated just the same.
I was delighted as well to see the release today that effective July 1, Anthem will be in network once again for Southampton Memorial Hospital patients.
That's right, Anthem as to July 1, your Anthem will be good at the hospital here. Thank goodness. All right,
Well, are we still in public hearing or have you covered?
I'm getting ready, if nobody else wants to speak, close it. Close the public hearing on that.
If there's no further discussion, I move we accept the recommended fees.
Second.
Accepted in seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Passes unanimously. All right. The next one on there is the ordinance amendment for the land use program application fees. It's generated a lot of controversy, but essentially to form a new ag and forestry district, instead of $25, it costs $50. And to renew it, it goes from $20 to $25. I think both of those are very realistic, and I don't think they hardly ever come close to paying for the paperwork, and they've done it anyway, so. All right, we'll open the public hearing on that. Anybody want to address those? All right, we'll close the public hearing. Discussion among the board.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I had 3 calls concerning this, and with some trepidation prior to recommending these increases, and I also had calls after the budget committee had adopted them to be presented, that they were perfectly fine with them, and thought they were reasonable. So
I had 3, I think 3 calls, the same thing, in favor of them.
All right. So we close the public hearing on that. Yep, we have, okay. Any further discussion, motion to move here? I think it's a bargain, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, motion to approve.
All right, is there a second to that?
second.
All right, all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. All right, we'll move on then. We have a capital funding request from Franklin Fire and Rescue, and they need $60,000 for purchase of a new 2021 ambulance and a ladder truck. Anybody have any discussion concerning this? It's certainly money well spent.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve that,
Second.
and a second. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And we will give Franklin Rescue their money. Moving right along, that was number 8. We'll go to 9, which is a Newsome's Housing and Drainage Improvement Project, Phase 1. Mike, do you have anything to discuss about that?
Not a lot. I just wanted to keep it in front of you. We had initially said last month we would have some more documents for your approval this month. They're still being reviewed by the Department of Housing and Community Development, so we have deferred presenting those to you tonight. We'll present them next month, but we're still on track to get everything wrapped up and hopefully get this project under contract by early August.
Very good. Looks like at the July meeting, we'll have the motion for them to meet at the program there. Any further discussion on that? All right, we'll move on to number 10. This is a fireworks permit Sedley Events, which has been a yearly thing. It was curtailed, I believe, last year due to COVID-19. They're gonna pull it off this year. A new organization, Sedley Events, took up the cause in 2020 and restarted this tradition. So they're asking a permit to be okayed for fireworks, first thing. I think it's a great idea. I go ahead and make the motion to grant the approval to the fireworks permit.
I'll second it.
Okay? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Okay, and the second part of the permit is an outdoor entertainment permit for Sedley. And that's a big event. It's been very nice. And I hope we can continue this. So I'd also like to make a motion that we give them the entertainment permit, chapter 22.5 of the Southampton County Code.
Well, if there's anything we need more of these activities, I think, in our community, so I support this wholeheartedly and recommend.
I'll second it if you join me in the dunking booth, Dr.
Okay. All right, any discussion? We have a motion, the second. All those in favor of the granting that, say aye. Opposed, likewise. All right. Number 11, joint workshop with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission has asked for this. They've been very active in that and want to make sure that we're both groups, the board and the Planning Commission's on the same page and listen to each other and find out what our fears and our thoughts and whatever we do. So I'm 100% in favor of having a joint workshop, and that will be a public meeting, so there probably will be room for people to speak. Anybody got any ideas? 1st of August, we need to get the holiday seasons over here and the vacations, or
Is everybody planning to be in town that first week of August? All of you all? Nobody's got a vacation plan that week. So Monday is August 2nd that week. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, do you all have a preference which night of the week?
I'm having knee surgery on the 2nd. I'd rather not be that day.
You'll be so doped up.
Do you want to put it off a week?
I can make it by the 5th, surely.
Okay.
so the 5th's okay?
That's a Thursday.
What day of the week is that now?
Thursday.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Then we have Ms. Lewis here tonight. She can pass that on to the Planning Commission if they're.
Do you all have a preference on venue? I mean, a lot of times when we've done joint workshops with the Planning Commission, in order to get everybody around a common table, I can't accommodate it in this room. So do you want to go off-site somewhere like the Workforce Center, or do you want me to look for somewhere else? Or do you have a preference on the venue?
That's fine with me. I think the last time we did it, which I was on the planning commission, then we went to the country club and did it.
Right.
Isn't that right?
Had a dinner meeting. Yeah, that's right.
What do you think, guys? Earl?
Mike can find a venue.
Beth, do you think the half of the community development building is set up is big enough?
That's what I was thinking. It would be big enough for the planning commission and the board of supervisors, but,
But if we have much public,
right,
it's not a lot of extra room for the public seating.
What about workforce development?
I'll have to check, but I can do that if that's what you all would like.
That sounds good.
Sounds good to me. Anybody have any problems with that?
Any place that will accommodate this, it's fine with me.
All right, so we'll get that arranged. All right, number 12, consideration of resolution proclaiming July 3, 2021 as Nottaway Indian Tribe Day. Walt, if you want to say a few words on that, we'll let you.
Thank you, sir. Walt Brown, 3334 Sand Ridge Road. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. July the 3rd is our 27th Green Corn Dance Powwow. As you're aware, we do 3 events a year. We didn't do anything last year because of COVID. So we're kicking it back again this time. So we're doing our first event, which is going to be the Green Corn Dance Powwow, which is July the 3rd. Then we do a Native American Revival Crusade for Christ. On September the 11th, we're bringing the Bezalel dancers out of Israel. They dance for the 12 tribes of Israel and also the shofar blowers, etc. And then the school day is on the 5th of November, and the Corn Harvest Powwow is on the 6th and the 7th. We are requesting that the board do a resolution certifying that July the 3rd should be known as the Cherokee Nottaway Indian Tribe Day. Okay, the board has done this before, but it's been a while since this has been done. Okay, the governor of Virginia, regardless of which party, Republican or Democrat or Independent, every year sends a letter, okay, sanctioning our event on the Green Corn Dance. So we're respectfully requesting that the county would do a resolution and have one of the board members. I know Chairman Edwards, that's your area. I don't know if you're going to be available or not, to come out around 1:30 and do a presentation. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, board. Okay, second to that?
Second.
All right. Then we shall do the same then. All right,
Motion in the road.
Yeah.
excuse me.
You had a motion and a second, but no vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board.
Okay, project updates. Courthouse renovation.
So, as I mentioned in your agenda packages, the activity on that project is really beginning to ramp up. We conducted the mandatory pre-bid meeting for the 5 pre-qualified contractors back on June the 3rd. Supervisor Gillette was able to join us that morning. We had a good meeting, a good discussion. All 5 of the prospective bidders had the opportunity to walk through the courthouse, and for some of them, it was probably their first opportunity to really look at the project. As you all know, we had initially set the date to receive bids as July the 13th, and then they would be open the following day, the 14th. We are going to be pushing that out slightly by a couple of weeks, and I'll explain why in just a second. So we'll be issuing an addendum to those bidders to delay submittal of the bids. I don't have the exact date yet, but we're thinking sometime around the 26th, I think, of July. So about 2 weeks later. The reason that we're delaying that is that we've decided it will work better. We're going to have to make some very minor modifications to Hunterdale Elementary School. There are some places where we'll have to construct some small partitions for security reasons and those kinds of things, so that the general contractor can really control the project schedule. We've decided to issue an addendum, and we will include the improvements to the Hunterdale Elementary School in the bid for the courthouse. It'll be broken down so you can see what's what, but they'll be bidding on that too, so that when we award the contract, the first task of the general contractor will be to make those improvements to Hunterdale, get that ready to move the circuit court clerk's office, and the Commonwealth's attorney out of the courthouse to Hunterdale. So right now we're thinking about 30 to 60 days once we award that contract to get that work done, move those folks out, and then actually we'd be beginning the courthouse renovation probably October, maybe as late as early November, but hopefully sometime in October. We have already signed the lease for the modular unit for the general district and juvenile and domestic relations court clerk. As we had shared with you previously, we will be moving them to the modular unit, which will be set up and staged at the Franklin Courthouse on that asphalt parking lot. So the game plan is we've ordered the unit. Hopefully it will be delivered sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That should give us about 6 weeks to get all the ramps built that we need, to get all the telecommunications installed, all the utilities hooked up, those kinds of things, and move the lower court clerk out of the courthouse the last week of August and begin trying cases in Franklin on September the 1st. So that's the game plan. Again, the date for the bids is still a little bit fluid, but I'm thinking sometime about that last week of July now we'll receive bids.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right, sounds like we have a game plan. Move on into the direction trail project. It's still behind, but continues to putter along there. Anybody have any comments about that?
I will add, since I wrote this item up in your agenda, I think the pay request that the contractor submitted equated to about 51%. I got one today. So they're up a little over 60%, and that's through the end of May. I also got an updated project schedule. They indicate that they expect to be finished by July 1. So we'll see. That's what they're telling us.
We got a ways to go.
Which year?
This year.
Okay. All right, anybody have any comments about that? All right, we'll move on to number 14, SBA deadline, economic injuries from Tropical Storm Isaias. Anybody have any questions about that? B, the abstract of votes from the June 8th Democratic primary. C, correspondence. And D, notices, foreclosure notices. Anybody help about those? All right. We're down to late arriving matters.
I've got one.
I have none, so.
I've got one that came today to me, from the Women's Club in Sedley. And that concerned the recycling bin being full and not able to get it emptied, and I told I'd bring it up tonight. My short answer was, as sorry as we are, we'll have to go into the regular trash bin because there was nowhere to, actually no market for the recycling. So is there some update on that?
Yeah, I can tell you. So part of the problem we're having in getting the recycle boxes serviced is, we contract with Bay Disposal for that. And they're having a hard time getting drivers right now. So they're short on drivers. And nobody really wants to hear this, but the reality of the current world market for recyclables, what goes in that recycle box and what goes in the regular trash box, it all ends up at the same place right now. It goes to the waste energy plant where it's burned for steam and electricity down at the Navy Yard in Portsmouth. But there's no distinction between the two. They both end. So if the recyclables go in the trash right now, they go into the same place. That's just the reality of the situation.
I guess that's better in the ocean. All right, anybody else have any late arriving matters?
To get that one in,
We'll follow up in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been called in and you're supposed to get it within, I think, 3 days of when it's called in.
yeah, that was a big concern. The other thing was what,
But I've heard several others this week, that same thing, and the answer we've gotten is short on drivers.
and could you notify the attendees to just inform them when they come up with recycling, just to put it in
Yes,
the
sir.
regular dump?
Yes, sir.
Let's see, Mike, did you have another later on? Okay. Anybody else? All right, no further matters, but motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.
Hey, I'm going, what about this?